Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we've got a Start Collecting Age of Sigmar 3rd edition video for you, and we're going to be looking today at the Start Collecting box for the Fyreslayers. Now what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go through the contents of the Start Collecting box and talk a little bit about what we get in the box and how we can use it to sort of start our army and what it sort of is and what it gives us. And then we're going to go look at both the terrain features and the Magnic invocations, which are special sort of endless spells for Fyreslayers. And then we'll look at some units and how we can expand this initial box set out to a full army. And also at the end, we'll do a little sample army list to show you how to get on your way and get playing some games with your Fyreslayer army. So with that out the way, let's start talking about, first of all, the big kit in the box. So this is the Magnic kit. This is a really interesting kit for Fyreslayers because it actually gives you quite a few different hero options out of the single kit. First of all, you'll get a Magnic, and you can mount any of the 3 different heroes, being the Lodge King, the Fyreslayers King model, you can see pictured here, the Rune Father. We've then got the Rune Son, which is like the princelings of the Fyreslayers, and we've got the Rune Smiter as well. All 3 of these are pretty cool and they all offer various different things to the army, but what's cool is whichever character you choose to not put on top, you get on foot. So if you put, say, the Rune Father on the Magnic, you will get the Rune Smiter and Rune Son models on foot, which is pretty cool, and that's what they've got pictured here. You can see the Rune Son on the bottom left and the Rune Smiter on the bottom right. And then, of course, the Rune Father is on the Magnic in that kit. Now all of these, as I said, do different things. The Rune Smiter, the Rune Father and the Rune Son are both combat-focused heroes. Rune Sons, especially when you start mounting them on Magnic, really work well next to each other. The Rune Father is definitely just your big head honcho. I recommend putting him on the Magnic first. If you're wanting to get more Magnic later down the line, you can definitely do so by grabbing a couple of Rune Sons on Magnic, as they work really well in tandem with each other. The Rune Smiter is a really cool model as he has the ability to sort of bring units in from ambush, which is really great. Fyreslayers lack a bit of movement, so he's a really useful piece to have. And then we've got, for our unit in the box, we've got a unit of Volkite Berserkers. Volkite Berserkers are your standard battle line troop for the Fyreslayers. They've got some decent close combat potential and they can be pretty tough to sort of take down as well. 2 wounds apiece makes them pretty good, and you can put some decent ward and armor save bonuses on them through various different ways in the army. A solid battle line. They've got 3 different weapon loadouts. You've got the 2 wielding axes here, and then you've also got the ability to take war picks and sling shields and hand axes and sling shields as well. Some cool options to play around with your Volkite Berserkers. But now we've talked about that initial box set, let's talk a little bit about the scenery piece. There are many armies in Warhammer Age of Sigmar that get their own sort of special scenery piece. Fyreslayers are one such army. This is a free piece that comes along with your army. You're going to be able to use this for free. There's no points required, so why not go grab one? This is part of your allegiance abilities. So first of all, what does this exactly give you? First of all, it's impassable terrain, so you can sort of set it up and your opponent actually can't move over it. It blocks whatever it is. But also, one friendly priest nearby can add 1 to their chanting rolls. And you can also choose to, instead of getting +1 to a chanting roll to a friendly priest, you can choose to give a 6-up ward save to all Fyreslayer units on the battlefield and to your next hero phase. However, what happens is this sort of uses up the forge, and neither of these abilities can be used for the rest of the battle. So it could be a really good thing to use in a pinch, maybe last turn, to try and survive that a little bit longer. And then we've got the Magnic invocations. These are endless prayers. They're invocations. They're sort of like special endless spells for the armies that don't really use magic. Now the first one we've got is up the top right. This is the Molten Infernoth. It moves pretty much like a predatory endless spell, except it moves at the start of the hero phase rather than the end like endless spells would. When this moves, at the end of its move, you roll 12 dice for each unit within 3 inches of it. And after it moves, and for each 6, the target unit suffers a mortal wound. However, you roll 2d6 for this model's movement. And so if those were a double, you instead suffer, or rather do d3 mortal wounds to your opponent's units, and then the invocation is removed at the end. The next invocation we've got is the Runic Firewall. This is the giant, firewall you can see at the front there. So models cannot move across this invocation unless they have the Magnic keyword, or they can fly, which is pretty cool. It's a nice sort of blocking piece. And also, 1 Fyreslayer per phase can draw upon the wall's power and gain a ward save. You can choose to do a couple of different things, and it's got its own ability where it does sort of, I guess, do a mega sort of ward save bonus and then disappears, much like the Molten Infernoth. The last one we've got is the Zargon Flame Spitter. This is like a little sort of magma hole. It doesn't move, so you sort of set it up, and it's like a little artillery piece your priests can use. If they're nearby it, you can pick one enemy unit within 24 inch and roll 12 dice. And if the unit's a little bit larger, you get bonuses to this. But pretty much for each 6, the target unit suffers a mortal wound. If you have to roll more than 4 6s, this little Flame Spitter disappears as well. But now let's go look at some units we can bring into the force. And so here we have a bunch of different units we can all bring in. First of all, let's talk about Lords of the Lodge, or rather Fyreslayer heroes. There's a ton of different options outside the box set, like the Rune Smiter we've got here, and some other of the characters as well, the Rune Master, the Grimwrath Berserker, the Doom Seeker. There's a bunch of other cool Fyreslayer heroes you can bring in to do a bunch of different things for your army. Grimwrath Berserkers and Doom Seekers are really cool. They're good fighty heroes and can actually do quite a decent amount of damage. And then, you know, some of the coolest models in the Fyreslayer range. And we've also got, you know, a couple of other priest options, as well as a banner bearer and some other cool little pieces there you can all bring in. They all do various different things for your army, but they are definitely something to look into, bring into your Fyreslayer force to have some more sort of characters leading your force. Next up, though, we do have the Hearthguard Berserkers and the Auric Hearthguard. This is actually the same box set, and there aren't a lot of miniatures to add to the Fyreslayers range, and this is pretty much it. Once you've got that initial box set, and then you've got some of the characters here, you've got the Auric Hearthguard and Hearthguard Berserkers are your other sort of model options here. Now, Hearthguard Berserkers are a really strong combat unit. They can put out a load of hurt. They've either got some cool rend axes, or they've got some mortal wound projection as well. So they've got these two different weapon options available to them. And really, I think in an army, having a mix of the two is actually useful, because they both do different jobs slightly better than the other. The other option that we actually get for the box set is called the Auric Hearthguard. Now, these are a shooting unit, and they can provide some really important sort of just cheap little chaff removal shooting to the army that we don't otherwise really have in Fyreslayers. This allows us to sort of use them to get rid of screens, to get our Hearthguard Berserkers and Volkite Berserkers and Magmadroths into the combat and fight where we want them to be. We don't want those units getting tied up fighting, you know, 10 Free Guard or 10 Clan Rats or something like that. You want them to be able to get in and do the damage against the things that are actually going to matter in the game. And lastly, why not collect the model that's totally not a Fyreslayer, but somewhat a Fyreslayer at heart, or at least, you know, he's got one of the Master Runes embedded in him and a giant Fyreslayer's axe, and that is Gotrek Gurnisson himself. If you haven't read anything about Gotrek Gurnisson, go check out some of the Black Library fiction on him. He's the best character in all of Warhammer, but he's a really cool model. He is absolutely killy. I mean, this guy will take out absolutely anyone in the game by himself. He's awesome. If you want a really cool model, and it costs 500 points, so if you're looking after the initial sort of purchase here to up your army, go grab Gotrek. He'll do a fantastic job for you of upping those points, getting you closer to 2,000 points and those big match play games you want to be playing. But lastly, let's have a look. We've got a little sample army list here, and so we've first of all got our allegiance for Fyreslayers, and we're going to play in the Vostage Lodge. So the lodge here is going to be Vostage, and what this is going to give us is some cool little abilities. So first of all, Vostage, we're going to get the command trait, Fiery Endurance. This is of course going to go on our Auric Runefather on Magmadroth, who's going to be our general. So units holding within 12 inches of this model at the starting movement phase can run in the movement phase and still charge later in the same turn. Really, really useful. Run and charge means we're going to be able to get into that fight really, really quick. And so the battle trait we actually get for this army is we get to add one to the charge rolls for all Vostage units. And also, if we make a run roll in the first battle round, we get to move 6 instead of having to actually roll. Really cool getting to use this, and you know, this combines well with the run and charge ability of our general. This means we're going to get to, you know, have that extra 16, we're going to be 10, and then we're going to be charging. It's going to really make sure we can get those first turn charges off, hopefully, with the rest of our army. We've then got the Honor Our Ancestors, so this is the command ability that we can use in the command phase, and if you do so, you pick a friendly Vostage hero. Until the end of that phase, you add one to hit rolls for attacks made by that hero and friendly Volkite Berserker or Hearthguard Berserker units wholly within 12 inch of that hero. So, pretty nice. Now, back to our Auric Runefather on Magmadroth. He's going to have the Voss Axe, which is the artifact we have to take due to this sub-faction. At the start of the battle, we pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. We improve that weapon's rend characteristic by 1, which is nice. And in addition, if the unmodified roll for the attack with that weapon is a 6, add 1 to the damage for that weapon as well. Really, really solid. The last thing he's got is he's going to have our mount trait, and we've gone for Ashhorn Ancient. You can reroll save rolls of 1. Reroll saves is just really good in this edition, and we're combining that as well with the Auric Runesmarter, who's going to have the Prayer of Ash, which is +1 save. So we can get that +1 save, get him rerolling saves, getting him ignoring rend if we're using all that defense or a Finest Hour, his best day ever on him. And then looking into this, we've gone Battle Lines, we've got 10 Volkite Berserkers. We've gone for the pair of hand axes. I just think offense is the best way, especially with how we're sort of playing into this list. And then 5 Hearthguard Berserkers with broad axes. Now, this is going to be an interesting thing. The Hearthguard Berserkers with the broad axes, we're going to bring them in from the board edge. They're going to be the unit that teleports, or rather tunnels in with our Auric Runesmarter. What's really cool with this is we're going to be able to sort of use this to get a unit where we want, and then we're going to be able to get that extra +1 to charge, which is going to hopefully help us land those sort of long bomb 9-inch charges, which will now be an 8 bomb. Runic Firewall is going to be the end of spell we're going to bring. This could be really cool for helping control the game. However, I do think the Flame Spitter definitely has a place. You could potentially bring it in on the sideboard. But what I like doing is the Runic Firewall. You can bring this in with your Priest as he sort of moves on from a board edge and sort of set up on one of the objectives and use the Firewall to sort of protect and sort of gain control of an objective in your opponent's territory potentially. Everything here, though, is wrapped up in a battle regiment, so it's a 1-drop. We've got 750 points, so there's no chance of a triumph here. No reinforced units, no allies, 49 wounds, and a 1-drop as mentioned. If you're starting with Fyreslayers in the new edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, I'd love to hear how you're going and what you're doing with them. Let us know in the comments below. Well, that's the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our little community here at Sinful Gaming, you can do so by following the link in the video's description to our Discord server. And lastly, would like to give a shout out to everyone who helps support the channel via Patreon and YouTube members. And if you'd like to help support the channel via Patreon or YouTube members, you can do so by following the link in the description of the video once again. Thank you to our patrons Christian Weir, James, Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lowe, Outer Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Dynet226, and Anton Nilsson. Thank you to our YouTube members Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Steve T, The Real Zeop, Chris Wallace, Turai12, Vinny, Lock Lorick, Matt Mollin, Becca Kinski Groupie, and the Johnny84. And a special thanks to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel, an absolute amazing artist. You can go find her on Instagram. And also a special thanks to Xmorphic, who does all the background work for our Discord server, an amazing job he does there. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Once again, stay safe everyone, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.